at is what we call as the inter-basin transfer. So can we transfer some of the excess rainwater in a sustainable and also environmentally friendly way to other river basins which are not getting sufficient rainfall because they happen to be in the rain shadow area and so on. So right now some studies and all are being taken up regarding the environmental impact. But if these things happen,
The river
then
basins,
there would be like
which are
a
not
paradigm
getting
shift
sufficient rainfall
in
because they
terms
happen.
of the flood management concepts in India.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges in Tamil Nadu too is they're silting. They have not been desilting those reservoirs and basins and stuff for decades and decades. So that's been a problem of the capacity, and then of course a good management system. So
I think Megan has also joined, and can we unmute her?
Megan is there? Yeah, Dhananjay, ये मेगान हनुमंते को
Good evening, sir.
Megha Hanumante, sir?
Yes, Megha Hanumante.
She is unmuted.
Okay.
ये hands lower कर
दिया.
Oh. So we are now 600 and around 20, sir.
Maybe we can wait for 5 minutes and then restart and then start. Will that be okay, Guna?
yeah, I think so.
Am I audible?
Yeah, very well.
I have very bad connection today. So we all are referring to presentation 3.
Megan, I don't know whether you can hear me. Apparently, we have 25 countries and 27 states being represented today.
आपको लाइट लाऊं जरा तो
So in India, we are looking at what are the options to encourage industrialized construction in a big way. And which means that more of the, say, the industry-based components, elements, modules, which can be used in construction projects. And so it's not a site-specific casting yard, but this could be industries. And US has a lot of experience of doing that for almost 4 decades now. And
Yeah.
and we are looking at how we can do that, and there are obviously many advantages which will come in India. And at some point of time, Guna, I would also touch base with you and with Elias on what suggestions and insight you have about these in other countries.
Okay.
We are around 675.
Ringchia sir, good evening to all. Myself,
good
Badar.
Good evening,
Vice
sir.
Principal.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Yeah, Guna sir, Vice Principal of our college, Dr. Badar.
Yes. Thank
Hello,
you,
sir.
Dr. Badar. Hello. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, sir. Fine, sir.
Is Yasir there?
So, Dr. Badar and others, Ravi and others, you probably are trying to figure out, what's this program for this fall semester?
Yeah, it's a challenge right now. This thing, Yasser is connected, but he is muted. So can somebody make
Okay,
him,
I'll ask him.
make
is it
him
there?
a
Can you
co-host?
unmute
He's
Yasir,
there.
please?
Yeah, unmute him and make him a co-host.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Guna, that's a big challenge.
Yasir.
Good evening and good morning to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Safe.
And Dr. Mani, so has UIUC decided to go on a 100% online mode for next fall?
Unfortunately, no. We've decided to go with a hybrid model, and we're trying to understand what that really means. Meaning, the idea is to have perhaps 1/3 of the students in class, and we will be rotating. But who gets priority on what date? How we're going to be administrating that? None of that has been figured out yet.
Okay, so that's going to be very complicated. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because we are going to start in a purely online mode, and then we see how the situation changes, particularly with the medicines and vaccine being on the anvil, and then based on that we are going to take a decision.
Yeah, we have 7 testing centers on campus that provide testing for free every day. So the goal is to get students and faculty tested on a weekly basis. That's the plan.
Okay, that's very good. Yeah, because I mean, in labs and all, the whole design is collaborative. You cannot do distancing when you are working in the labs, because it just goes against the basic design of those labs.
That's correct.
So Ravi, whenever y'all are ready, I think it's 6:05.
Yeah, it's 5:38.
700 plus.
Yeah. So Ravindra, whenever you want to start, I think we are ready to go.
Already 10 minutes past our time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have good people. We have some people from Railways, Chief Project Manager, Mr. Meske.
Yeah. So we have former vice chairman of MSRDC, and so we have quite a few senior people. So Ravindra, I think we are ready. You can just start anytime.
Okay. So
Shall we begin, sir?
it's 10 minutes, correct? We are 10 minutes past 5:30. So you want to wait or you want to start immediately?
No, I think let us start, because there's also that initial formality in between. More people will join.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine, good. So let's start.
Okay.
with Dr. Guna's permission.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Dr. Varghese, you can.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. You can go ahead, sir.
Good evening, all respected participants and guests on the occasion of webinar on ABC of construction, artificial intelligence and digital twins, plus BIM and computer vision by Dr. Mani Gulparam Fard, Associate Professor at University of Illinois, USA. This pandemic situation where lockdown term has been synonym in day-to-day affairs, with fear in mind, skeptical life and career ahead, with enough time confined within the four walls, have made another opportunity by sharing the knowledge through e-talks and webinars. I, Dr. Valsan Varghese, head of the department, KDK College of Engineering, Nagpur, wish to welcome today's expert speaker, Dr. Mani Gulpar Fard, University of Illinois, USA, Dr. K.N. Gunalan, President, ASCE, Engineer Ravindra Ringsia, President, ASCE, Indian Section, Western Region, Dr. Ravi Sinha, Professor at IIT Bombay, and immediate past President, ASCE, ISWR, Dr. Elias B. Sayai, Director Region 10 ASCE from Abu Dhabi, Principal Dr. D.P. Singh, KDK College of Engineering, Vice Principal Dr. A.M. Badar, KDK College of Engineering, faculties, students, participants, welcome to you all. We have enormous response today for today's webinar from around 2,200 participants from 25 countries and 27 Indian states with 776 faculties, 983 students, and 356 professionals. This indicates the importance in to get details of the topic, the use of artificial intelligence and BIM into civil engineering construction. Certainly, the expertise of the expert speaker, Dr. Mani, would put interest and importance of topics among the participants. We have already organized 31 expert talks from expert professionals and academicians during this lockdown in association with our supporting organizations. Today, ASCE Indian Section Western Region and KDK College of Engineering Nagpur is organizing this fantastic webinar. We move ahead with, as a mark of salutation, we'll rise at our place for national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you to all. We have Engineer Ravindra Ringsia, President of ASCE, Indian Section, Western Region, a very active member of ASCE in India. He is one of the founder member of ASCE, ISWR, and past secretary of ASCE India Section. who has successfully conducted more than 45 events. Engineer Ravindra has completed his BE Construction Engineering and ME MS from USA in 1992. He heads a construction company in Mumbai. He has successfully executed many projects, some of which are World Bank aided water sewer treatment pumping plants in Mumbai, pile foundation projects, micropiles, stone columns anchors, cast in situ piles, residential buildings up to 40 floors, including design, structural repairs and renovations, pipe laying, infrastructure projects, metro, smart city. Such a renowned construction expert person is the president of ASCE Indian section Western region. Now I will request Engineer Ravindra Ringsia to give the welcome speech. Ravindra, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Varghese, for giving such a nice introduction for mine. Good evening, friends. I hope you all are fine and are safe during this pandemic. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome one and all. I, Ravindra Ringsia, President of American Society of Civil Engineer, India Section Western Region, on behalf of ASCE, ISWR, and KDK Engineering College, formally welcome you all to today's webinar on ABC of Construction. This webinar is organized by ASCE, ISWR in association with KDK Engineering College, Nagpur. Firstly, it's my pleasure to welcome today's expert speaker, Dr. Mani from USA. Dr. Mani is an associate professor at University of Illinois and is also CTO and co-founder of Reconstruct Inc., USA. I also welcome ASCE President Dr. Guna and his team. I must mention here that Dr. Guna and his team are always ready to give their service to ASCE for betterment not only of civil engineers, but also for common public in general. I welcome each member of ASCE presidential team. I welcome Mr. Tom Smith, who is Executive Director of ASCE, Mrs. Megan, who serves as Director of General Program, Global Program, and I appreciate their hard work and guidance for the success of this webinar. I also welcome Dr. Ilyas Saya from UAE. Dr. Ilyas is an Director Region 10 of ASCE. I also welcome all participants who have joined in huge number across India and from outside India too. I welcome all participants through Zoom and also through YouTube. As said by Dr. Varghese, we have more than 2,000 participants registered from about 27 Indian states and around 20 countries worldwide. I also welcome all the engineers from private and government organizations like MRBC, CITCO, and many more. Friends, ever since the first civilization, construction industry is there in the world. Number of organizations of work in civil engineering spread all over the world, but without much coordination and interaction among themselves. Thus, a need of united body of people who would truly represent the interests of our industry was felt. Which have headquarters at Eastern Virginia, USA, has more than 150,000 members worldwide. Yes, it's 1,000 members worldwide, and is celebrating its 170th anniversary in the year 2023. The focus of ASCE is to contribute to the improvement of the image of civil engineers and to make their contribution to society more effective. Its intersection and group society acts as an apex body to assist policy making. The American Society of Civil Engineers section Western region is one such region of ASCE under its India section. ASCE ISWR is based in Mumbai and has a board of directors from across the Western region of India. In past, ASCE ISWR has organized many international and across the region. These events include seminars, conferences, exhibitions, evening lectures, competitions, and now webinars. In all, ASCE has organized more than 50 events since last 2000 year. This gives you addition to the members of this region. ASCE also has many student chapters and serve as a platform for self-development and also for leadership qualities to young engineers and students. The main charter of ASCE ISWR remains the same as of ASCE, is to help improve the image of civil engineers. So keeping this in mind, ISWR has organized this webinar, requesting a very renowned expert from USA to enlighten us on of ABC in construction. ABC means A is artificial intelligence and digital twins, B means BIM, and C stands for computer vision. I thank Dr. Mani to accept our request and
Your network issue has come, sir, Ravindra sir.
I think he's not there anymore.
Yeah, you are not audible.
I think he got
We
dropped
should-
out.
Yeah, I think we should move on or wait
Yeah.
for him.
No, we'll just move on.
Yeah.
So actually, so he gave a brief background of the activities of ASCE India Section Western Region, and I would now like to take the privilege of welcoming Dr. Gunalan, the president of ASCE for the year 2020, and so can you go to next slide?
Slide.
Yeah. If you can just go to the next slide.
Dhananjay, next slide. Sir. Nice.
I don't even see Dhananjay online.
Dhananjay is also dropped on.
Yeah, I don't see.
Wait.
Yeah, Professor Varghese, you are the host. Can you load it?
Yeah, wait. This network connection has come there. So 2 minutes, getting loaded up.
Yeah, Dhananjay, could you go to the next slide, please?
Next slide.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So we are privileged to have the president of ASCE, Dr. K.N. Gunalan, with us for this seminar. And Dr. Gunalan, he's a very, very distinguished leader of civil engineering, known worldwide for his accomplishments. He is a senior vice president for transportation alternative delivery for Americas at AECOM and is based at Salt Lake City in the US. Previously, he was a vice president at Parsons Brinkerhoff. Guna, as he is commonly known, has managed large complex infrastructure projects providing technical advice on civil, structural, geotechnical, pavement, and materials issues on a wide variety of projects around the world. His collaborative approach has contributed to many successful programs and projects ranging from a few $1,000s to more than $3 billion. He has been active in ASCE for many years, including leadership roles as Region 8 Director between the year 2009 and 2012, Region 8 Governor between 2005 and 2007, Utah Section President between 2002-2003, and Texas Section High Plains Branch President way back in 1992. He served as the chair of ASCE's 2014 Global Engineering Conference in Panama City to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Panama Canal. Most recently, he served as a governor for the Geo Institute of ASCE and was a member of the steering committee for the 2017 ASCE India conference that was held in Delhi. Guna has been married for 35 years to Duru. They have a son, Kabilar, and a daughter, Pallavi. He loves to read, travel, and learn about new lectures. And most of all, he loves to be able to share his knowledge and experience with fellow civil engineers. So I welcome Guna, and over to you, Guna. So before that, I also want to formally welcome him through a presentation of a bouquet of flowers, and on behalf of all the participants attending the webinar today. And over to you, Guna.
Thank you, Ravi.
I'm back, and I thank Dr. Sinha to take over and move ahead. Thanks, sir, for the immediate action taken.
So thank you, Ravindra.
Thank you, Ravindra, and thank you, Ravi. Appreciate the opportunity. Namaskar. It's a great privilege and an honor to be with all of you and share a few thoughts about ASCE. Ravindra has already shared what ASCE India section does a great job coordinating with KDK in organizing these webinars. But I wanted to share a few things in what we do at the headquarters, just to give you a little bit of an update. Since our last meeting, Ravi and Ravindra and the leadership of India Section Western Region asked for some recommendations and made some recommendations to help change our strategic goals. So Ravi wanted to let you know that Megan, with the support of other staff, is tweaking our strategic goals to reflect what is being done in India and other places where ASCE works with other institutions and organizations to support and promote engineering, and especially civil engineering. So that is being reworded right now at your request. So hopefully the next version that you will see would be more palatable to our members around the world. As I said, Dr. Ilya Saya is the director for Region 10. At my request, Dr. Saya is working on a strategic plan for Region 10 to see how we can be more nimble and more supportive of all the activities. As you all know, ASCE is an individual member organization, and therefore that we are looking to and striving to make sure that we value each member and help.
Go to next slide. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Every member to be successful. So from that effect, the ASCE board meets approximately times a year. So we recently met in July in Renton, Virginia, which is our headquarters. And we had a lot of activities that, we took action on. And something of interest, as most of you would know, Ravindra was sharing that we have 150,000 members worldwide, and we almost have 11,000 members in India, which is a big, population section of our membership. And a number of them are student members as well. So the things that we did was to go ahead, as you probably know, in the last constitutional amendment that was put to vote, we had approved to allow for affiliate members to be able to vote the elections of ASCE. So we have now most of the folks can vote if you're a member of ASCE, excepting students, and we're working on putting that out for membership vote next year in the next cycle to allow, because that way we will be a more inclusive organization than an exclusive organization. So students are our next generation, are the next lifeline for this organization. So to that effect, we have also, with the support of our president-elect, we are working on making the transition from a student to an associate member very seamless. So the first year, once they graduate from school, they will automatically be registered as a member. And at the end of the first year, they can choose not to be a member, but they can continue to be a member up to the age of 28. They will pay only 50% of the membership dues as an associate member. So we're trying to make the transition of students very seamless and make it very inclusive. So that is being worked on right now in terms of the details. That was approved by the board in our July board meeting. And we also, I think one of the groups that money belongs to is a construction institute. I think through the construction institute is where we are offering this webinar. We have 9 institutes. We also voted to keep that, individuals can be an institute only member too. So if you want to belong to any one of our 9 institutes, you can belong to an institute and be an institute only member. So the board voted to keep that option open to the members as well. And we also, have made some changes to life members because the demographic is growing as part of the life members. So we reached out to some life members. So the details of, when you qualify to be a life member and how much do you pay to continue to maintain your life member status is all being worked out, but that won't take effect until the year 2022. So there were a lot of things that we handled at the July board meeting, and we are looking to be more streamlined, more nimble, and a sustainable organization so that we can continue to serve our members worldwide. And as I said, Dr. Elias Saya is working on a strategic plan for Region 10 so that we can serve all our members in every nook and corner of the globe. We have also reached out to our Institute of Engineers India, and we have an agreement of cooperation with them. So we have also asked to see how we can leverage that relationship so that we can work through them also to bring more of these types of webinars to the broader Indian engineering community than just only civil engineers. So there are a lot of things that we're working on, and my term is slowly coming to an end. So we've been putting a lot of stuff together. The next board meeting is in October, so we've got a lot more things coming up for the board meeting. One of the things that may be of interest to most of the members around the world, we're also looking at revising a code of ethics, because once you sign up to be a member of ASCE, you automatically sign to abide by the code of ethics of ASCE that is being revised. So it is being up and posted on the website, so you can check it out to see if you have any comments. They're receiving comments to make any changes. And so there are a lot of things going on at the national level, but all with keeping every member in mind. So now all the affiliate members in India can be able to vote in the next elections. The students will automatically get registered as associate members with the appropriate dues being listed for them to be a member till the age of 28. So please look for all these changes coming your way. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our leaders there in Western region or the India section or Region 10 through Dr. Elias, or I'm always there at your service. So it's been an honor and a privilege to represent all of you and to work with a number of experts in the field. And I'm looking forward to hearing Dr. Mani give his presentation on ABC of construction. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with you for a number of years to come. Thank you.
Yeah, Ravindra.
I think he's dropped off again.
He was there. He is there. I unko Dhananjay unmute karo na?
Yes, sir. Maybe you can take over.
I can keep talking,
No, yes. Okay, Ravindra is back. Yeah.
Okay.
Dhananjay, Ravindra sir ko unmute karo na?
कर दिया हूँ सर.
अच्छा, हाँ, now he's on. Yeah, now he's unmuted. Yeah, Ravindra sir, you take on.
Who is next?
Yeah, you, Ravindra, introduction of ISWR.
That's Dr. Sinha. Is Yasin there? Okay, I'll go. I think there's a lot of connection problem today.
Yeah, net connection problem has come.
Yeah. So I now invite Dr. Sinha to talk about today's webinar. Dr. Ravi Sinha is Professor of Civil Engineering at and a former Dean at Institute of Engineers. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
hear you.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yes,
are audible.
Shall I proceed ahead?
Yeah, and can you also go to next slide, please? Yeah.
Yeah, I request Dr. Ravi Sinha to talk about today's webinar. Dr. Ravi Sinha is Professor of Civil Engineering and former Dean at Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Mumbai. He is immediate past president of ASCE ISWR and is very active member since the start of ASCE ISWR in Mumbai from 1999. I now request Professor Ravi Sinha to take over and to introduce about webinar to all of us. Dr. Sinha, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Ravindra. So it's actually a privilege for me to give an introduction to this important webinar. So as many of you know that today many construction companies are striving to align the production efficiency with the scheduled activities through the use of various emerging technologies such as reality capture and building information modeling workflows. So building information modeling, also known as BIM in the industry, is now being more and more widely practiced in India. And those of you out there who are aspiring fresh engineers, just pay a lot of attention to BIM, because that is going to be a major thing in the future. The latest advancements bring solutions that transcend the current algorithmic capabilities and venture into artificial intelligence territory. The goal of these developments is to achieve better control and higher level of predictability through the real-time analysis of production, resource, and job site conditions. So really smoothing out all the major sources of pain which are there in the current project management challenges. Dr. Golparwar Fard, or Mani as he is more commonly known, is a very well-known expert in this field and will present how leading construction companies in the US, Europe, and Asia have leveraged a startup company which he has co-founded called Reconstruct, and the platform they offer a new visual production management system to achieve production efficiency on hundreds of construction sites around the world. He will also show how AI algorithms integrate and compare reality models with 4D BIM to track progress and productivity and identify risk for potential schedule delays. Mani will share insights on the underlying technology and the work processes, and also showcase the ongoing research and development in this fast emerging field. So I now hand over to Mr. Ravindra Ringshia again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi Sinha. I now invite our Vision 10 Director, Dr. Ilyas B. Saya, to enlighten and talk about our today's speaker, e-speaker, Dr. Mani. Dr. Saya is President and CEO of Saya Engineering Consulting Bureau at UAE and is responsible for our overall management of the company and expansion in the Middle East and North Africa. He has about 35 years of international business and engineering experience in the US and East. Dr. Saya holds master's and bachelor's degree in civil engineering from San Diego State University and a PhD from Pune University. Dr. Saya serves as Region 10 Director of ASCE and also associated with many other national and international associations. I now welcome Dr. Saya and request him to kindly accept a virtual bouquet on our behalf.
Thank
Saya,
you,
please.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Guna, for the presentation. And it is my pleasure to be with you today on this webinar. And it is my pleasure to see the number has exceeded the 2,000, which is really a great job. I want to thank all of you. As our president, Dr. Guna, said, I am writing a strategic plan for Region 10, and I want to stress on India and the rest of the region. So if you do have any information that you want to share with me, let me know. I would like, before I introduce Dr. Mani, to represent him with a very nice bouquet of a flower from our heart to you, Dr. Mani.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I would like to have the honor to introduce Dr. Mani for this webinar today. Dr. Mani Colfer is the CTO and co-founder of Reconstruct, a software as a service company that integrates reality modeling, building information modeling, BIM, and project scheduling to visualize track progress, analysis productivity, and productivity detect potential delays using predictive analysis. In turn, commercial construction companies to keep their project on schedule and budget. Dr. Golapar is also Associate Professor of Civil Engineering, Computer Science and Technology at Urbana-Champaign, Illinois, and it is called the University of Illinois. His works in the area of computer vision, machine learning, and BIM has been the recipient of many awards, including 2018 Walter Huber Research Prize from ASCE, 2017 National Top 20 Under 40 from ENR, 2016 Dan Halfen Award for Scholarship in Construction, and 2013 James Cross Medal for Innovation in Civil Engineering, again from the American Society of Civil Engineers. 2013 and 2010 CETI Awards from FIATEC and numerous Best Journal and Conference Paper Awards. Reconstruct has also been recognized by several industrial awards, such as Gunabay's 50 Hot Teach companies globally in 2019, 2016 World Economic Forum Most Innovative Startup Company, and 2016 Innovation Award from Turner Construction. It gives me my great pleasure and honor to introduce Dr. Mani, and please accept my sincere admiration and gratitude to you to participate with us today. Thank you, Dr. Mani.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saya, for the kind introduction. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you'll be able to see what I have to present. Before I start, I want to say thank you to ASCE, ISWR, Ravindra, and everyone who's been involved in organizing this webinar. Gives me a pleasure and an honor to present the work that I've done over the past 15 years at the interface of artificial intelligence and BIM with its application to construction. This month also marks my 20th year of being a member of ASCE. I started as one of the early international students who joined ASCE back in year 2000, and have had the opportunity of serving in many capacities, including Construction Research Council as a chair of data science and analytics. With that, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make a presentation that a hybrid of what I do at the University of Illinois, which is more on the research and development aspect, and also a little bit more on the commercial side of what we offer today to construction projects through a company that formed out of this research, Reconstruct. I made the title ABC to make it a little bit catchy, but what I really mean by that is applying artificial intelligence on what I call digital twins. Digital twins that are being generated as the interface of reality models, three-dimensional models that we generate automatically from pictures and videos we take from job sites, at the same time leveraging design information in 2D and 3D with project information embedded to it in form of building information models. The application of this system is meant to be for production tracking on job sites and making the project process to be more proactive. Before I get into the technology, I want to share with you some statistics. Before COVID-19, we used to see really great numbers for the industry, not only in the US, but also globally. For the first time in 12 years, the value put in place in construction in the US exceeded 1.4 trillion. The number globally is close to about $10 trillion. While these numbers are great and we see a surge of construction projects and backlogs, substantial value that we are putting in place is really going to our labor. In fact, new reports that have been coming out of Construction Industry Institute are showing that almost 40% of the resources that we're putting into construction goes into the labor. That's all fine, but when you start looking to assessing productivity and how we are essentially managing these resources on the job site, you will see that almost about 35% of our time that we're spending on resources is being allocated to non-direct work. If you do the math between this time, 35% to the percentage of the cost that really goes into the labor to that total value, you would see the value added that we can bring into construction by addressing the gap we have in productivity is almost close to about $200 billion. That's roughly close to about 50 stadium projects. In the US, we have Inglewood Stadium currently under construction, which is one of the largest projects that we are undertaking for $4 billion. That's 50 times at the stadium. Now, not only we have that, of course, we've been impacted by COVID-19, and that's also bringing new dimensions into productivity in terms of enabling social distancing by having white blue days, or impacts that it's making in terms of days away restricted or transferred away from the job site that is impacting our lower productivity. But what does these numbers really mean for those of us who are engaged in construction? That means most of our projects end up being behind the schedule and over budget. In fact, ENR put out a report a few years ago that shows more than 50% of projects that we perform in the commercial sector are behind the schedule, and a little bit over 60% of them are over budget. When you start looking to mega projects, anything that is larger than $500 million in total construction cost, you would see the numbers are even more shocking. McKinsey & Company published a report in 2017 that shows that almost 77% of these projects are behind the schedule. And the delay that we see for them is close to about 40% the duration that we plan for these projects to really get started on. Now, ironically, when you start asking owners what do they care the most about when it gets to the construction phase, among various factors that impact the project, from design to safety, quality, and whatnot, you would see the number one factor that comes to mind is really the schedule. When you start looking to this, you may say, well, I mean, why is budget not number one? Or why quality is not number one? Or why safety? Of course, there are many different ways by which owners will be able to manage budgets. We have contracts for that. Also, when it comes to quality, we have specifications that we use for making sure what gets done in the field matches expectations, which is basically the definition of our quality. But one of the biggest concerns that every owner has is the schedule, because every day that the project is being delayed, especially in the context of mega projects, it's one day that you would not be able to use that resource for offering the type of services that you intended to do. So for us to be really able to understand what are the root causes for these performance issues that is leading for so many of our projects to be behind the schedule and over budget, we need to go back to the basics of how we plan, monitor, and conduct our work. So, we follow two types of practices in construction. Sometimes we follow earned value analysis, which is the most basic practice. We start with the schedule. We typically get together on a weekly basis. try to understand how much work has been done, and we try to update the basis of that schedule, typically on a monthly basis. The more advanced practices of lean construction helps us to transform our master schedule to what we call weekly work plans through a process that we call pool planning. Then we try to bring our crews together in daily huddles to make sure everybody's on the same page of who does what work in which location. Try to see if we can learn from our failures and successes in the past and use that as a basis of improving our schedule. So when you look into this cycle of planning, execution, monitoring, and control, there are really 4 problems that define some of these inefficiencies that you see with respect to productivity. Number 1 is planning. Over the past 20 years, we've significantly enhanced how we plan construction projects. And there's been a number of new theories that have come into play, including theories related to lean construction. But anecdotal observations from hundreds of projects is really showing success in bringing these better practices of being proactive, using locations as a resource, would require dedicated champions to be on the job site to make sure people are following these practices. Otherwise, a lot of construction project teams have the tendency of going back to the normal practices of being trade-driven and only react to mistakes and successes that they've had in a retroactive fashion. The number 2 has to do with the fact that, while we are really good at coming up with long-term plans, when it comes to really understanding how much work can be done by our trade contractors or our subcontractors on a daily or weekly basis, there's a whole lot of room for improvement. In fact, data that we collected from hundreds of projects over the past 14 years shows that there are many reasons why superintendents and foremen are not able to execute a plan together with their crews. There are many reasons for that. Work plans change. Sometimes we end up going to a location and we see that that work area is not really available to us, underestimated effort. And our analysis shows that 79% of these reasons that a plan is not being worked on are preventable. The biggest challenge that we have is we do not have visibility to these problems in time to make the right decision, change the plan, and make sure that people are able to keep the project on schedule. The third problem has to do with how we are communicating and capturing progress on a job site. Even in 2020, we see people walking around with 7x11 sheets or A3 sheets of construction drawings, walking around and trying to document how work gets done. In more recent years, we've transformed these prints to digital version by using iPads and Android devices, but still the practices are retroactive. And what that means is we rely on somebody to walk around the job site, manually document how much work gets done. We don't really trust that information, so we wait for an entire week to come back to a trailer and make sure every subcontractor stands up and communicate how much work they've done. So essentially, all these issues that we have keep stacking up, and we only get to know them almost a week after any of these issues have actually happened on the job site. And the last aspect that really impacts our performance is unreported progress. Oftentimes, our schedules are being created by experts that we have in the main office. These folks are not in the field to receive feedback in terms of what really happens in our job site. So there's really no feedback loop that can provide the basis of upgrading our schedule in the first place. Now, considering these 4 problems that I mentioned in the context of planning, monitoring, and control, we really wanted to see how we can tap into existing project data to address some of these inefficiencies. So from one end, we started looking to the application of building information models. In the United States and many places around the world, the application of BIM has become a standard for many practices. Design development, design coordination, addressing conflicts in mechanical, electrical, and plumbing components with respect to structural components is common practice. So what we really wanted to do is to see how we can tap into these resources that are being used in the pre-construction phase, integrate them with a project schedule, and create the basis of how much work really gets done or is expected to be done on a daily basis. So the combination of BIM and project schedule would be forming that basis of what really gets done on the job site. So from the other aspect, we were really interested in the growth of visual data. If you think about construction people, civil engineers, or anyone who we have in the field, everyone has tendency of interacting with visual data. When you show them a picture, it speaks the truth. They understand what needs to be done. They can contrast that against the design. So we had this desire to look into visual data. And gladly enough, there's been a significant growth in how we are documenting job sites using pictures. I bet many participants on our webinar today are using their cell phones to walk around the job site and take pictures. We have professional photography companies that sometimes walk around the job sites and help owners to visually document job sites, mostly for liability purposes. Time-lapse cameras have surged. Many job sites, we see at least 1 to sometimes 2 cameras that are active. They're taking pictures every 5 minutes. Using action cameras or 360 cameras for indoors videotaping extremely popular these days in North America. Drones, over the past few years, we've seen a surge of their application, particularly in Asia, where we have a few projects going on. And we've also seen laser scanning. Laser scanning is more on the higher end of this spectrum, and it's more expensive, and it typically supports quality control workflows. But if you look into all of these types of visual data, one thing is for sure, they provide us with a representation of what really happens on the job site. So what we really wanted to do is to see how we can integrate these pictures with BIM so we can visualize what is there on the job site versus what should be there. Now, the BIM essentially shows us the design information, whatever we've already approved as issued for construction as part of our construction documentation process. So for us to be able to represent the element of time, we wanted to integrate the models with the schedule, overlay them on the picture, and color code them using a very simple metaphor of traffic light colors. So everyone who's on the webinar would be able to look into this picture and say, now I can see that area that is in dark green, that is ahead of the schedule, and I can see the areas that are in red, that are behind the schedule. And we wanted to make sure that this type of visual can be done in real time, and it can be done from every viewpoint. So everyone who's representing the owner side, contractor, subcontractor, and the designer will be on the same page of how much work is being done, what are the areas that are at risk of delay, so we can proactively address these performance problems that we have on the job site. This is what I really call a digital twin, integration of the design against the reality of the job site that forms the basis of digital representation. So with that in mind, and that cycle that I showed you earlier in planning, monitoring, and control, we came up with this data-driven project controls scheme, which basically taps into the integration of BIM and reality data to create the basis of a reliable plan, a plan that really shows us how much work is done, integrated to the scope of the project, and also tapping to the images and videos as a visual feedback to that plan. So that essentially forms that digital twin. We wanted to use the basis of the two, the plan versus the actual, as a basis of improving coordination and communication of construction. And Ravindra and Guna, both of them reflected on this earlier in their opening statements. And lastly, we wanted to tap into AI in form of predictive schedule analytics to compare the plan against the reality of the job site and forecast risk in the future. So instead of reacting to delays, we can identify potential delays before they happen on the job site. So with that in mind, we wanted to really tap into this image versus design and see what is the basis for us to automatically compare the two. No field engineering involved in color coding or manually bringing anything into alignment. The entire process to happen automatically. All you need is to take a picture, have your design information provided into the system, and use the schedule as a basis of your work. But the question was, okay, well, it would be really nice to tap into maybe videos that are, from fixed views, and we can easily bring them into alignment. But when the building goes up, our visibility is going to get limited. We cannot fly drones indoors because many construction companies have concerns about safety. So the challenge for us on the technical side, for those of you who are more interested in the academic aspect of it, was to figure out how on earth we can bring every single image that is being captured indoors and outdoors automatically into alignment with the design information. So this is really the problem. Every day on every job site that we interact with, we see tens to hundreds of pictures being taken. Sometimes they're, with a bird eye view. Sometimes they're captured on the ground. Sometimes they're indoors. And we wanted to automatically bring them into alignment with BIM. BIM that might be in different levels of development with respect to model disciplines. So we also needed to look into that element of abstraction associated with our design information. I don't intend to get into any technical conversation today in terms of mathematical formulation, but we wanted to map this into a computer vision problem where we wanted to understand how we can find location and orientation of every image against that three-dimensional design information. And for those of you who are more interested on the mathematical side of it, this is an 11 degree of freedom problem associated with every single one of these images that we need to map against the 3D design information. So we came up with an idea. We thought, what if we try to organize these images in a three-dimensional form in the first place? Then once we have a 3D representation of the actual site in 3D, we would be able to bring that into alignment with design. So as a basis of that, we started working on a number of algorithms that in computer vision are called structure from motion, which is the study of a structure of a scene based on the motion that we can capture from images. The result of that is the representation that you see on the right side, which is a three-dimensional representation that automatically gets generated from tens to hundreds of pictures. Once we have that representation, which is what you see on the right side of my screen, you'd be able to contrast it against a plan. This is the reality of the job site on the right side, and here's the plan on the left side. Then the question is, can we bring them into alignment? And I'll show you some algorithms in just a moment. Imagine that we bring them into alignment. Now exactly you can see every work location, every work package, every component in your design information, and contrast that against a reality that is mapped in 3D, which is measurable. So now I can actually start having a basis for automated progress tracking. Then you can dive into every single image view and have an augmented reality visual without using any dedicated hardware. And what that means is that you'd be sitting in front of your monitors today, you log into your project using this remote monitoring tool, and you say, show me what is happening in today's date. By opening up this picture from this camera view, you can immediately see we have 3 different trade contractors that are working on the job site. The model provides you the total quantity of the work that is expected to be done, and you can turn these layers on and off, so you can contrast that against how much work has really been done today. Once we have that, we would use that in the context of a schedule, and we will be able to start color coding elements, work packages, and locations in red and green. Anything on the schedule in green, anything that's been delayed in red. As this system starts being used on the job site, we can start tracking rates of production and productivity per trade contractor. And then we can really tap into our AI algorithms. So now we can go ahead and forecast risk for potential delay. And what that means is when you put together a look-ahead plan that roughly defines what you intend to do in the next 3 to 6 weeks, you can log into the system and see this location is color-coded in orange. That means if you're planning on having a coordination meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, maybe you want to rally your team to focus on this location that is in orange. Why? Because there's a potential for delay in this location, a delay that hasn't happened. But we can really understand the root causes for the delay, revise the plan collaboratively, and come with a plan that makes sense for everyone to keep the project back on schedule. You can also use this as part of your daily huddles. This type of representation shows you who does what work in which location. You can see there's a small legend on the lower left side of the screen that defines the trade contractors that we have on the job site. The bottom of the screen shows you the schedule color-coded, and the same colors are reflected on the model. Now, suddenly you have the reality of the job site versus what is being planned to be executed. So you can use that for safety monitoring. You can use that for your constructability reviews, or even for your site layout management purposes. This system has actually been implemented on hundreds of projects. The example that I'm showing you is from one of the earlier projects that this system was being implemented on in 2016, 2017 in St. Louis in the United States, where this project team was getting together on a weekly basis. So you see there's a large audience participating in the meeting. Usually used to have it on that largest screen behind the head of the superintendent. you can actually see there are two locations that are color-coded. One of them is color-coded in red. The other location is color-coded in orange. So the team now is really transforming their practices to be proactive about identifying risk, addressing risk before it happens. What they do is they rally on one location at a time. They bring in all the subs that are being impacted by that potential delay, and they try to proactively prevent that delay from happening on the job site. So this solution has actually been transformed into a complete remote project monitoring solution. And today it supports 3 different workflows. One workflow is simply taking advantage of images and videos from your cell phones, 360 cameras, and drones to perform visual documentation that provides you with a historical record. With COVID-19, this is extremely popular because what it does is that it minimizes the requirement of traveling to job sites. You'd be sitting at your home office and you can log into the project. The entire system would be in 3D and you can measure it, you can document it, and perform issue management. The second workflow is really integrating the design information. And what that does is it maps reality against the plan, and you can use that as a basis of quality control. This solution is extremely popular, particularly in some projects that we have in Asia. Today, there are 27 projects in Japan that are using the system, close to about 50 projects in Australia, and a few projects in Hong Kong, China, that use this as a basis of quality control. And the last element has to do with integration of the schedules. Schedule that integrates at different levels. If you're the owner, you're probably more concerned about your master plan. But if you're the contractor, probably you're more concerned about your look-ahead plan. So what we do is we integrate various levels of granularity in the schedule with this visual representation within one platform, and offering access in 2 forms. One, a web-based environment where you'll be able to see all that color coding that I showed you earlier. At the same time, a mobile interface that is used as a basis of field interaction on the job site. So I'm going to take you through these workflows one at a time, starting with the visual documentation and historical record. So as I mentioned before, all really there is to it is to take in images and videos and nothing else. So the basis of getting your sites mapped in 3D is just ability to take pictures. As I mentioned before, drones are extremely popular today, especially for infrastructure projects. Sometimes we see 360 cameras also being used. And with one of our industry partners, we've actually worked on a camera solution that can be mounted on tower cranes. So if you have a mid-rise, high-rise structure, you can have this camera move about the job site on the crane camera, and it basically mimics what a drone does by flying over the site. Once these images and videos are uploaded into a system that is completely web-based, the system automatically provides you with a 2D orthophoto, which will be overlaid on your map of the job site, so you can see the most up-to-date version of the site in 2.5D, which is measurable. You can also see that in 3D, which is a mesh that you see on the right side, contrasted against design in the context of this schedule. The building that you're looking at is the headquarters of Kiewit Construction, one of our partners that's been using our system for the past 2 years on construction of this building. So I want to show you an example of what this really looks like. Imagine you fly a drone, and over 60, 70 images that you've captured, you hit process. The system automatically provides you with a model that the one that you see on the screen. So in this case, you can see there's a high rise going up on the right side. There's a little bit of excavation going on. This 3D model is completely generated from images. There's no need for GPS. All you need is images with some overlap. Now I've turned the cameras on so you can see there's a drone that's been flying over the site. There's some images that are being captured on the site. You simply click on any location that you desire. The system will dive you into that location. Now you can zoom into that image and you'll be able to perform measurement from your home office. You can measure distances, you can measure areas, angles at the resolution that matters to you. You can make this 1 centimeter per pixel resolution all the way to 0.1 millimeter resolution, which is a requirement for crack detection if you want to use this for infrastructure project. Now, as the project progresses over time, this transforms into a timeline or a time machine for construction. So if you notice at the bottom of the screen, I have this orange timeline slider, and there are these donuts. I'm advancing through them. So now you can actually see the progress that's been fully documented on this job site by many images that are captured over time. These models are completely automatically brought into alignment. There's nothing that needs to be done manually. Our computer vision algorithms find similarities over data and they actually form the basis of interaction. So I showed you some examples from projects that were about 2 years ago. Now I want to show you a project that I showed very recently. This project is in state of Illinois, where I live, very close to Chicago. The owner of this project is Oracle, the software company. And Oracle is building a new innovation lab. And over the past 7 months that this project has been active, they've been flying drones, documenting the site using 360 cameras. So you see there's a 3D model and there's a small navigation map. So you can dive into any images from India or wherever you're connected from, and you can dive into Chicago and immediately start performing measurement and providing quality control feedback to the job site, or use this as a basis of your monitoring. You can also interact with the system in 2D. A lot of times we hear from people that all they really want to do is they want to see the basis of their design, the shop drawings that are generated from their BIM model against the reality of the site. So this is Google Maps. The reality of the site mapped with a drone is being overlaid on top of that. And you can actually see the design information is overlaid on it too. So now you can see what is my site layout dictating and how my team is managing the job site. So for those folks who are engaged in safety and quality monitoring, it can actually improve the basis of how many times you can inspect job sites and catch issues before they happen in your field. Now, all the examples that I showed you were dominantly from outdoors. Indoors is the most exciting part. Oftentimes we talk to building contractors and say, you know, if I'm on the site, I can see what's going on outside, but show me what is really happening inside, because I don't have time to do the walkthrough on the job site every day. And the solution for that is really simple. You can use one of these 360 cameras. You can mount it over your hard hat, like the picture that you see on the right side, and a field engineer walks around. You can document what is in front of you, left, right, top, bottom, all at the same time. These videos will be used to automatically provide you with two types of deliverables: a three-dimensional model that maps, let's say, level 16th of your building, at the same time a small 2D navigation map, which is really your floor plan. And this is completely agnostic to hardware. So any camera you have should essentially be able to map the job site. The beauty of the 360 camera is that with one walkthrough, you can document it. The floor plans can also be colored. So if you're engaged in tenant improvement jobs and you don't have time for surveying, especially with COVID-19, you can walk around with a video, document the location, come back and download this floor plan, take it back into your design environment as a basis of your design. This can also be integrated against your design information, so you can exactly see how this field engineer walked against the site plan. So every one of those donuts you see on the screen is one frame extracted from the video that this person was walking. I'm now showing you that location in 3D with cross-sectioning that floor plan and kind of showing you these small bubbles. But really, this is the experience. If you've used map services like Google, this very much looks like one of those platforms. We call this a street view experience, where now you can click on these donuts that are in blue on the ground. These are frames extracted from the video, and you can teleport yourself into different locations on the 16th floor. I'm playing around with the visibility, so you can actually see not only we have the video and the frames, we actually have a 3D model that's been automatically generated from that. And what that means is that this is actually a project in Netherlands. You can log in from Chicago, and you can dive into this project and immediately start performing measurements in metric units, in imperial units, whatever you desire to do. On the lower left corner, you can actually see the navigation map. The navigation map shows you more donuts. Those are every single frame extracted from the video. So you can click and say, Mani, we want to go to room A, room B, or zone A, zone B, whatever you've defined as part of your location breakdown structure. Again, the entire scene is in 3D, so you can use this as a basis of your measurement and interaction. Now, everything I've shown you was based on reality. If you bring in your design information, it can be as simple as a PDF. Now we can actually show your locations against that floor plan. So now I've transformed into our 2D viewer. Now your superintendents, workers can actually log into the system, use the design information, click on these locations, and the system would immediately jump them into a measurable image view of the site. So this really shows you some examples of how images and videos, as simple as that, can be used to map indoors and outdoors automatically over a project timeline. So it really forms a digital twin of what really is expected to be done on a job site. Now we want to bring that into alignment with the design, so we can use that as a basis of quality control. The way this works is that oftentimes the reality data we have is not in any site coordinate system, so there needs to be an alignment that happens. The requirement of doing this alignment is very close to surveying. So essentially we need a minimum of 3 points to be used as a basis of this alignment. What that does is that we have some algorithms that can bring BIM and point cloud into alignment. This is a one-time effort. As you proceed with your project, these point clouds will be automatically aligned over time. What that process does for us is that now every image has been associated with a point cloud. You've seen that before. BIM is associated with a point cloud. So now image and BIM automatically get registered to one another. You can dive into every image and you can see your 3D plan overlaid on top of that. So let me take you back to the project I was showing you before. Now we've dived into indoors on this project, and this is April 21st, 2020. You can actually see this building that is under construction. I'm gonna play with the opacity only for the ground level, so you can actually see we have a 3D model that is mapped from images, and voila, we just turned the design information on. So now you can actually see live design against reality, and you can see where you are with respect to that. You can also do this outdoors. You're standing outside, you see these donuts that are framed, extracted from the video, and you see what is there. Because it's being captured on the ground, there's not a whole lot of visibility to what you have on the ceiling. So you can see the point cloud is not very complete, but it actually overlays the design for you. This BIM model is completely interactive, and that means you can click on it. You can extract any metadata that is associated to it. Whatever information that you put into your design will be accessible to the contractor who's on the job site. And you can also play around with various layers of opacity. So in this case, you can also show underground utilities. For those of you who are engaged in groundwork, you know the importance of that. So you can activate that and have visibility to it without necessarily using any sophisticated technology, just your design information and pictures. This also has many other benefits. You can actually go ahead and select what layer of your design you want to see against that reality. So in this case, I'm just activating the steel modules against that picture. And you can see the contrast. This is the reality of the job site. This is what was promised to do that date. You can immediately see what modules and what sequences are behind the schedule. Now, oftentimes we hear, oh, this is great. We love to do video capture, but what about images? Sometimes you just want to take one single picture. So as I mentioned to you, this system also has an app that supports video and image capture. And it's as simple as pinning images on the job site. And what that means is that now, not only you can actually go to these images and do measurements, you can also do side-by-side comparison. This is a project in Sweden. Skanska, one of our clients, is actually using the system. And this is level 8 on the building project they're working on. So you can see side-by-side 2 360 images that are showing how that location has actually evolved over a span of just a week on progress. So now I've shown you how design and reality can be brought into alignment. I want to speak a little bit about schedule, the last piece of integration. We call this environment now a visual command center, because now you also have your project controls data. You can actually see what has been promised, which is the schedule you see on the right side. You can actually see that schedule is being reflected on a model. So per date, you would only visualize what is it that is expected to be done. And now we can go ahead and contrast that against the reality. This has many benefits. You can actually use this as a basis of your coordination, constructability reviews, and also obviously progress monitoring. Because if you're the owner, if you're the superintendent, you can see what is the promise that subs have made against that reality. And you can also forecast what is likely going to happen in the future. So I want to take you to another example video here. This project is actually one of the earlier projects with a company called Mortensen in Minnesota. And you see a lot of the snow on the ground. So I thought maybe you'd be interested in that example. And I'm advancing through the timeline at the bottom of the screen. You can actually see the schedule also advances on the right side. And these colors are showing us over the entire 18-month duration of this project, what is it that every sub has really promised to us? and contrast that against the reality. So you can actually use that as a basis of monitoring the work. Now you may say, how do you really enable progress monitoring? There are many different ways that this system does that, but the most effective way of it is through an app that is connected to this web-based system. There are many forms of reporting progress. If it's a very simple job, maybe just get people to commit to a date, which is on those snapshots you see on the right side. You show them the expected finish date and they would report against that. If you have BIM, you can actually do more sophisticated. Our system automatically takes off quantities per location per work package. So now we exactly know this is slab on grade, would require 1,500 cubic yard of concrete, and your subcontractor would report the actual quantity that they work on every day against that total. So you get actual numbers associated with your progress. Not only get that reporting that happens, but you can verify because images and videos are being associated to it. There's an auto voice transcription capability. So if you speak to the app in any language, the app would automatically transcribe your voice into text. So this is not an AI algorithm that we've invented. We've tapped into what Android and iOS devices offer. And it's really nice feature because superintendents who are used to paper-based documentation, they can save time. When they're driving back, they can speak to the phone and they can report back on how much work they've done. From a list of root causes for delay, they can also declare reasons by which the project has been impacted. So I think Professor Sina mentioned that over the past 24 hours, you had rain. So maybe you had an inclement weather day and you couldn't do construction work. So you can get that documented properly and you have a visual proof associated to that. For those executives who are participating in the call, you're probably not too concerned about every single detail that happens on the job site. You want to aggregate that at a high level. So there's a dashboard that comes with the system. It's integrated into a number of popular products from Autodesk and Oracle. But you can also use it as part of your Power BI with Microsoft, which shows you the health of the schedule on a weekly basis, gives you ability to interact with the data, filter locations and trades that are at risk of being delayed. So everything I've shown you so far was really someone reporting progress to us manually through the app. We just visually verify that and get visibility to happen. This is truly the state of the practice on hundreds of job sites that we've deployed the system. But today, on about half a dozen of projects, we've also rolled out something that we've been working on for the past 10 years, which is automatically tracking progress. That means we no longer want anyone to even report to us how much work they've done through an app. Instead, the picture should really help us understand that progress. And my talk at this point in time is a little bit more geared toward those who are on the academic side of the industry. So over the past, like I said, 10, 15 years, we've come up with all kinds of machine learning algorithms that reason about visibility of the scene from these point clouds and contrast against BIM to automatically detect progress. And from a research perspective, we had really good results, average accuracy of 89%. But let me tell you what that 89% means for someone who's in construction. They would use the system and the system is not perfect. So it's gonna show examples of failure. Let me give you an example on top. If you look into the picture I have on the top, there's an area that I've highlighted in orange. That area shows forming for placing concrete. And you see that area is not complete, but this system that I was part of, unfortunately makes a mistake and is color coding that area as complete because all it does is that it's only reasoning about some occupancy in the space as an indication of progress. Or if we have low visibility, like the example that you see on the bottom of the scene, the system may make a mistake and say, hey, I really didn't detect anything there. Well, there's something there. It's just you didn't have enough pictures to decide on, declaring whether that element is on schedule or not. So over the past 10 years now, fast forwarding, we've also looked into how we can improve this using image processing and deep learning techniques. But this problem is not trivial because in construction, we've never formalized sequences of construction. And if you also think about it, there are different levels of granularity associated to that. Pick a simple concrete wall. You start with, form work, then you get into the reinforcement bar, then you place concrete, then you have waterproofing, insulation. If it's, foundation work, you would do the backfilling. If it's part of your facade, this will go with the cladding component. We need to have algorithms that can automatically detect these different types of materials in each picture. And this is a study of computer vision. So for the past 5 years, we've actually published quite a few deep learning techniques in conferences, including computer vision and pattern recognition, that for the first time, we've released publicly available data sets and a number of new algorithms that at high precision for about 2-3 dozen of construction materials can automatically detect them from simply pictures. And we've shown that by doing so, we can improve this average accuracy by roughly around another 2 to 6%. That means is that if we bring this automated progress detection into the practice, now you have something that you can use to automatically verify. So, if you get your reports on how much work is being done, you can go ahead and say, let me log into the system and let me see that. And if you've received the payment application from your sub, you have a visual that you can actually use to verify if that payment application is correct or not. Now, again, we've taken this into an AI area and we've used that as a basis of detecting risk for potential delay. I'm not going to get into the details here. There are a number of algorithms that automatically learn the pattern of performance of subs, generate different profiles that some subs start slow, some ramp up and then the end activities are slow, some start slow, ramp up toward the end of the every task that they perform. Depending on when you're performing your meetings on the job site, productivity patterns change. So our system dynamically learns the true pattern of production and productivity and uses that to forecast risk. This is another intellectual property as part of this work. But all of it really means the practice. We want to bring it to the practice. So let me show you another video. This is Clark Construction in the city of Chicago. They were working on a $150 million hotel project, and we transformed their practice. You can actually a superintendent using this digital twin environment, color-coded based on risk for potential delay. And on top of his screen, he's got 5 locations that are marked at risk of potential delay. And he was not really savvy with 3D. So he created these locations so he can click with a finger and automatically go into the views and simply engage the team in a conversation on what is the risk we have here, what are the root causes that have been documented for delay, and let's figure out how we can collaboratively address these delays from happening on the job site. Our observation was really very interesting. I mean, this practice completely used to be retroactive. Superintendent used to start a meeting with safety, of course, safety first, then quality items, then going around the room, calling company A, company B, company C. Naturally, half of the team was being disengaged for the entire time they were participating in the meeting. But now you walk into the meeting, you see location that you're supposed to be working on is color-coded. And it's color-coded for risk that impacts you. In earlier part of the video, you probably noticed that there was a superintendent from one of the subs that stood up and engaged in that conversation because that risk to the superintendent and the general contractor is a risk to the sub too. So everyone is incentivized to be part of this conversation. So over a period of 6 weeks, we took this team from an average performance of 46% of their activities being done to 70%. I mean, we really didn't do anything. What this system did is to bring visibility, put everyone on the same page in terms of what are the issues that are at risk of being delayed. And if you start proactively taking decisions, of course, the project can come back on track. So the beauty is the transparency that this system brings in and visibility to areas that are at risk of being delayed. So I want to give you a few takeaways. I just, shared with you some examples of how you can simply use your visual data, images, your design information in the context of a schedule to, more than anything, really bring transparency to make sure everybody sees where the risk is and eliminate potential problems before they happen. Now you can actually see AI when it's applied to digital twins. It can help us bring in more predictability to our schedules. If you're engaged more on the owner rep side, you can actually use this for billing purposes. I mean, I don't know the statistics in India or Southeast Asia, but in the US, on average, a lot of our contractors are roughly around 2 to 3 months behind schedule on being paid. So what this system does is that immediately brings visibility to the work that is being done, so you can verify and streamline that billing. And of course, anything that is visual, you can immediately see the benefits to quality and safety. So it's really a solution that brings in win-win for all parties that engage in the project, whether you're the owner, contractor, or the designer. I think as part of my presentation, I just want to quickly touch on a few things that are upcoming in the next 3 years. I decided to do this only for the next 3 years because the span of bringing ideas from research to the market is getting shorter and shorter. And I want to show you quickly on a few things that are cooking in our R&D kitchen to bring into the practice. One is today, in many locations around the world, we have a restriction for flying drones that we need to preserve line of sight to when a drone is being operated. But we really wanted to be proactive about this and make sure we can work on new systems, control and robotics, that can reason about what are the areas that are important to us from a design perspective and autonomously fly a drone and capture those locations. So today we do have a prototype that any superintendent can use to automatically generate a floor plan, flight plan for the site, see that in the context of 3D. And when you run this analysis against your design information, it would color code the design model based on the visibility you have. So if you fly the drone autonomously, it would take off, it would go to these locations, and you see in a moment when it's getting color coded that there are areas that are not going to be completely captured. So you can modify your flight mission. And if you're superintendent, you no longer need to walk around the job site anymore. The drone can actually do that capture for you. Now you may say, what about indoors? Well, we cannot fly drones. If you ever visit US, I'd be very happy to demonstrate this mini robot we have that we demoed live at Oracle Innovation Lab. It's very simple. It just has a 360 camera and a few very inexpensive laser scanners mounted on it. So this device is roughly around $5 grand. It would move around the job site and it would autonomously generate floor plans. If you've seen Roomba, the vacuum cleaning robot, it's essentially the same. You can call it Roomba for construction. At the end of the day, when the workers are gone, it would walk around the job site, it would visually document the job site for you, and it does the capture. So we are piloting this right now on a few projects. While we're working on this, we've teamed up with Boston Dynamics, and I'm sure many of you have seen in the news. This is a very expensive but extremely interesting robotic platform that brings in very heavy-duty, high-quality laser scanning capability. Same idea. This time it's just very modern platform that can provide us with the basis. So if you operate this, voila, we can automatically color code your sites for progress monitoring every single day. And you don't even need to worry about taking pictures. So this is really ideal for owners that don't want to rely on the own contractors to report. Now, often, when we show risk to people, people say, well, great, you're showing me the top 5 locations that are at risk, but what am I supposed to do? You'd be surprised. Many superintendents actually like to receive recommendation on how should I revise my schedule. So we've been working on a number of machine learning and natural language processing techniques that from thousands of projects that every single person who's been on the call today has been participating on automatically learns best practices. And we use these best practices to provide recommendation on how schedule should be automatically aligned. So I'm just giving you a few teasers on things that we're working on. So it automatically learns these patterns. Now, what else can we do when it comes to safety? We've also worked on computer vision algorithms that without using any sensors on the body of the workers, they can automatically detect body posture and use that for ergonomics. So if you're on the insurance side, if you're on the safety monitoring side, without using anything on your side except a video camera, you'd be able to automatically detect and track body posture of the workers. This system is not perfect, but it's real time. Real time meaning 10 hertz, 10 frames per second. It does make a few mistakes. So if you notice on the top right corner, there's a trash can, and you can kind of see there's someone being detected behind it. There's really no one behind it, but the system is making a failure in detecting, thinking that there's also a person right there. So what else can you do with it? You can also use this as part of your first run study. And what that means is if you're a superintendent, you can get together with your crew, you can educate them on the mission that what we want to do is we want to do a time motion analysis of how much work gets done. So we can revisit this video together and figure out how we can improve our own productivity at the work level. So this system takes the video, labels the video for roles of the workers, their body posture, tools they're using, and the sequence of activities. So I'm going to fast forward this video for you. It brings you with a dashboard that shows at the bottom of the screen how much of this 1 hour video has been documented, has been spent on direct work, 59%. You can see 14% of the time workers have been waiting. Why waiting? Because maybe the work is not being coordinated properly, or maybe they were waiting on instructions. Travel time, 16%. Is this a good number? Is this a bad number? Do we have resources close enough, or the site layout is not optimized for the type of work? Means and method, if you look into tools and equipment time, roughly around 8 to 9%. I mean, if this is a concrete placement operation, you can say, well, we're using a pump and a chute to place concrete. Maybe you should change the means and method of placing concrete. So again, you can benchmark your productivity at a trade level and use that as a base of improvement. So these are things that we are cooking in the R&D kitchen to bring that to the practice. With that, I just want to say thank you to many organizations who've enabled this research, from National Science Foundation in the United States, have offered funding opportunity, from many organizations from Intel, NVIDIA, Caterpillar, who've partnered with us, who've given us grants to conduct this work, all the way to ASCE, especially Construction Research Institute and Construction Institute, that some 20 years ago showed me the opportunity of getting into construction. And I was a student, sent them an email, and I was really fascinated by these types of events like the webinar that we have today. And that journey took me to where I am today in Illinois. Many companies who've joined us in piloting and testing this technology, from Oracle to Autodesk Research to Clayco, Katera, that operates on many countries, including India, and in companies including Facebook, Amazon, for giving us access to their construction projects. By that, I want to say thank you, and I want to see if there are any questions for me. Thanks.
Wilson, are you there?
Oh, fascinating. There's roughly around 83 questions that have been posted. I don't know how we usually organize the Q&A session, Ravindra. I look forward to you and Dr.
See the
process.
We have somebody who has been quickly summarizing so that he can get the crux of the questions and pose only a few questions to you.
Wonderful.
I think one of the things
questions can be answered by you one-to-one after the webinar.
Yeah, if you Mani, if you don't mind, then you can also announce that if people want more details, they can contact you by email directly later on.
Absolutely. Let me put my email address back on the screen. I think on this first slide, I actually had it. So you can reach me at Mani, M-A-N-I, at reconstructinc.com. Mani, M-A-N-I, at reconstructinc.com. I don't think I have it on the first slide. I apologize. But
so can you just type on chat and forward it to everybody? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yassi, can you take over this session? Yassi, can you hear us? I think Yassi, you need to unmute yourself.
Questions can be directly read from the chat.
Yeah, Yasser is muted. Can you unmute Yasser?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll have some questions which are your. First question is, so increased planning also increases project management cost. What is your experience regarding the additional upfront costs increase by using these tools?
It's a great question. We have this saying that we say great planning requires great data. And all the system really does is to provide you with that data you need for the purpose of planning. So let me go ahead and pause sharing my screen for a moment. I want to show you a case study that we've done with an Asian company called Kajima, based out of Japan. They have a subsidiary called Kajima Building Design and Construction that they actually operate here in the United States. And what we've done with them is we've actually benchmarked their performance on a project that they perform in the city of Atlanta. And let me see if I can pull that up.
Can you change to Professor Mani's PPT?
I apologize. I guess my screen was not being shown. That's right.
Can you share his screen? Mani,
Yes,
Dr. Mani can share
yeah.
his screen.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so with Kojima Building, Design, and Construction Company, we benchmarked the benefit of this platform. One of their concerns was exactly this question. Does it help us with the process of planning? Because right now, at least for Kojima, they used to have an external scheduling person to participate in monthly schedule updates. And superintendents were concerned associated with the cost of doing those updates. So we were able to demonstrate to them that we can actually offer 30% cut in terms of how often and how fast they can actually update their schedules and use that as a basis of reporting progress. This project ended up finishing 4 weeks ahead out of, I think it was a 12-month or maybe an 18-month schedule. Either way, I think it's very impressive. I mean, of course, these are examples of how planning, can be supported through the process. So it's really about great data that can be provided as a basis of great planning. So you can spend more of your time just getting automatic visibility to where the problems are, as opposed to worrying about, learning about those issues a week after and changing the plan.
Okay, next question, sir, is if there is a phase-wise upgradation of technology and tools, if it's possible, what should be the initial priorities in this?
Please tell the names of the person who has asked also, sir.
These two questions were asked by Professor Ravi Sinha.
Wonderful. Yes, that's an excellent question. So let me go back to the 3 workflows that I demonstrated. If you'd asked this question to me a few years ago, I would have probably started with BIM and demonstrating the value that BIM can bring into the process. So it really depends on what phase of the project you have in mind. If your project is completely fresh and you have an opportunity to engage with the owner before the design starts, I highly recommend getting to the practice of building information modeling, because what it does is that it can provide a visualization of what really is intended to be done for the owner. It can improve the basis of design coordination. It can catch problems before they happen on the job site. It can automate quantity takeoff. So a project team that leverages BIM will be putting slightly more effort in the design phase, but they get huge value of catching errors and problems before they surface on the job site. Then you can actually extend that by integrating to the schedule and getting to what we call a 4D BIM as a basis of constructability review, quality control schedule, and obviously enabling progress monitoring. When the project is finished, you can also offer that as a handover back to the owner. We do have quite a few clients that have required a BIM execution plan across all of their projects that leverage this. In the US, this has been dominantly a bottom-up approach, meaning contractors have seen benefit, they have introduced it to owners, and certain owners have made this as a requirement. But in other countries, it's top-down, including UK, that since 2016, it's been mandated to have BIM as part of any process. So that's one side. And the other side is, if you are, for example, these days, struggling with how you can keep productivity on your job site, given COVID-19 and the challenge of visiting job sites, I highly recommend looking to images and videos and tapping into these reality modeling strategies, because with a quick engine, you would have a street view experience that you can walk around the job site and improve the basis of coordination and communication. So what I explained earlier with BIM is a long-term high impact value, but what you can achieve with images and videos is short-term, quick win, simple to implement. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, next question from Ravindra Ringsha. So it is for indoor robot, what if there is a difference in the floor levels or?
That's an excellent question. I don't work in the area of robotics. I work in the area of computer vision. So I am mostly concerned about how I can make the robot see what we have on the site, so it doesn't, run into a worker or, an object that wasn't intended to be on the site. At the same time, making sure it can do the proper capture that we have in mind. So this version that I showed you, yes, absolutely right. It doesn't go up and down, but if for the type of project you perform in the US and considering the element of cost, you can even stick one of these 360 cameras on the Roomba, and Roomba roughly costs around $300. These cameras are also $300. So with the $600, you can actually put together a quick robot. So you can have a few of them on your job site too. And for many job sites, like, I mentioned Facebook or Microsoft, we work with these organizations on their data center construction projects. These are $600 million projects in 10 months. So roughly each day is $5 million of work every single day, $5 million. So it's a huge amount of work that gets done. Putting these cameras in place, it's a fraction of the cost. So it would be, possible. This solution, it's actually, as you can see, has 4 legs, and it does climb stairs up and down. And, this is actually being used by us on the job site in Chicago. It's a very impressive platform, but extremely expensive. So, if you're working on those types of data centers or car manufacturing plants, you can actually take advantage of this. Yesterday, Reuters published a news report on Ford car manufacturing is actually using this robot for the purpose of mapping their manufacturing plants. So it's being used. It's being used across different levels for sites that are large to cover. So this addresses your concern. There are a few other variants of this. Depending on your job and constraints you have, this would require planning. What combination of robots would be best? At this stage, what I usually recommend is for many construction projects to start really, really simple. And by simple, I'm referring to simply purchasing one of these 360 cameras that I showed earlier, just to stick it on a hard hat. And when you're walking around the job site, do the visual capture. Once you get comfortable with this process and you feel like, oh, you don't even want to go to the job site, then maybe the robot will be the right solution.
Okay, next question is from Ashish Maurya. Can you elaborate on how BIM is different from digital twin?
Yes, that's an excellent question. Digital twin is a rather new term, and many different organizations have defined it differently. Broadly speaking, people define it in context of Internet of Things. What that means is providing feedback from the site or the field back into the design environment. So if you have sensors that are measuring humidity, temperature, and things of that nature, that can be tied back into the design information. So it can be used as part of an automated building management system. But in the context of construction, this is a rather new term that myself and a few other folks that are active in this area have been throwing out this term. And what we really mean by that is providing a version of what really gets done on the job site using these point clouds, the reality models that we're generating. So you have the design, which is your digital representation, and a twin for that would be the reality that we capture on the job site. So the integration of the visual as-built model from pictures and videos and point cloud versus the design information in 3D is what I would be calling digital twin. But I've also seen cases that people use the same term for BIM. It's really when you augment BIM with some form of a data that comes either from the field or when the facility is under operation. I hope this answers your question. Thanks.
Okay, now we have from Arka Ghosh. Are the 3D pictures taken through the Matterport 3D camera?
It's an excellent question. I love Matterport, but no, this is an alternative to solutions like Matterport. And what I mean by that is the experience that I demonstrated to you is very close to what you would get with Matterport. With the difference is, for those of you who don't know Matterport, Matterport is a great device. It's a depth camera that sits on a tripod and rotates around roughly around 8 to 9 seconds. And you would move the tripod multiple times in a building, and it gives you an experience like exactly what I showed you earlier, which is this video. Here, you're not actually using Matterport. All you're using is just a video camera, a 360 video camera. You stick it on your hard hat and you walk. So you no longer need to move your camera and put it in a stationary form, leave the room, do the capture. So it's quicker and less expensive alternative. It does come at a price, and that's the quality of the capture. Because when you place Matterport, it's a stationary, and it comes with high dynamic range capture capability. So it gives really visually compelling models that are usually used for real estate and marketing purposes. But if you want to have high frequency construction monitoring use cases, this would be a really good alternative.
There's a question from ISWR Karle. What opportunities can we get in the future if we want to do our final year project in BIM modeling and applications?
That's an excellent question. You know, I think most important aspect of BIM is convincing the owners. Owners are the ones who would really drive the usage of BIM and the benefits you can get. Owners are the party that, you know, they get the most benefit out of using model information. But the challenge is that, you know, somebody has to pay for the cost of putting that BIM model together in the design phase or enabling that process. There are many values, you know, starting with visualizing the design. So in the context of infrastructure project, getting the public to get to know about the project. I want to give an example. Back in year 2009, Parsons Brinckerhoff, the company that Gunnar was vice president of, did a really great job in San Francisco area, Presidio Parkway project that for the first time, an entire Bay Area in San Francisco was actually mapped using a laser scanning device, was used as a basis of BIM. And Parsons Brinckerhoff actually used that model, tied that to schedule and cost, and took it through the bidding process. They demonstrated Caltran, the owner of the project, that this is what we intend to do. And they showed two different versions of the schedule, what an accelerated schedule looks like, what are the implications on cost, and how they would be able to manage every package from a design to bidding to construction. Caltran was so fascinated by what Parsons Brinckerhoff presented that they decided to also pay for the entire cost of putting that BIM model together in the first place. So if you can actually convince an owner there's value in BIM, you as either designer or contractor can also benefit. In the design phase, you can minimize your errors and omissions. You can minimize how many times you have to respond to RFIs down the road during construction phase. You can make sure you provide models that are better for to be issued for construction. And in construction, automated quantity takeoff, quality control on the schedule, and as you saw some examples that I showed, also progress monitoring. These are all values. It depends on what persona you represent on the job site, whether you're superintendent, designer, but the biggest value really goes to the owner.
I think I'll take the last question because we're running out of time. This is from Professor Ravi Sinha. Sorry, it's not a question, it's a comment. This is from Rupesh. So you're only focus on digital twin by collaborate photos and video for integrated BIM. Why should we not use laser scanner for monitoring the project progress in detail without error?
That's an excellent question. You know, when I showed my slides, I think you might have seen I had an example of a laser scanner that I showed. So I'll go back quickly to show you the different types of visual data. I did mention that you can also use laser scanning, but you know, laser scanners are expensive solutions. You know, the cheapest form of BLK is roughly close to about $20,000 to the more sophisticated ones that would cost you $100,000 to purchase. They usually require professionals to operate these devices on the job site. While they're great tools, their application gets restricted to measuring flatness or plumpness, usually speaking. So it is more difficult to use such an expensive solution across all job sites. And by no means I mentioned that this is, you know, videos and images fit all job sites. It's one way of performing reality capture. So if you have requirement of high frequency capture, I highly recommend images and videos. And when you need really high precision quality capture, you should definitely use laser scanning point clouds. And in fact, the example that I showed with Boston Dynamics, it actually had a Faro laser scanner mounted on it. And Faro is one of our partners. We work with them very closely. So we do like laser scanning solutions. If you can afford it, it's a great tool. Just keep in mind, you have to train your people, you have to calibrate this device, and you have to maintain it. A camera that is $300 compared to a device that, you know, starts with 20 grand.
Okay, so lots and lots of questions, but we're out of time. I would request Vice Principal of KDK Engineering College to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening
Hello,
to
before
all.
before the third sir, Badr sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Mani, for excellent talk. Hope the technology being practiced at your end will definitely find enough input and insight towards contemporary implementation.
Yes, yes.
Thank you,
Now,
Dr. Mani, for excellent talk. Hope the technology being practiced at your end will definitely find enough. May I now ask Dr. A.M. Badar, Vice Principal of KDK College of Engineering, for formal vote of thanks.
Good evening to all. Myself, Avinash Badar, Vice Principal of KDK College of Engineering. On behalf of KDK College of Engineering, Nagpur, Maharashtra, India, American Society of Civil Engineering, India Section, Western Region, Indian Concrete Institute, ACC Cement, and the entire fraternity of civil engineers. First of all, extend most sincere thanks to the Almighty God for making today's lecture and series of lectures a resounding success. On behalf of all, I extend a really hearty vote of thanks to our today's expert, Dr. Mani Golpawar, University of Illinois, USA, for today's e-expert talk on ABC of construction, that is artificial intelligence, digital twins, BIM, computer vision. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your lecture on AI, BIM, and this will surely motivate everybody to use and apply AI, BIM, and other techniques. That is how to monitor progress of construction, how to align every image with BIM, that is digital twin, from image to develop 3D build models, what 4D, that is 3D plus time as build model, Horizon 2022, R&D kitchen, prescriptive schedule, and all. Your thought have enlightened everybody minds. Thanks, sir, for your interesting lecture. On behalf of all, I also extend a hearty vote of thanks to Dr. Gunalan and his team, Dr. Ilyas, Dr. Ravi Sinha, Dr. Yasir, Dr. Azhar, Sri Rinchia sir, for promoting civil engineering and providing latest innovation to civil engineering fraternity. I need to mention my deepest sense of appreciation to Professor Varghese, Professor Satone, and entire civil engineering department of KDK College of Engineering for successfully organizing series of e-talk with huge participation of civil engineers and creditable association with ASCE, ISWR, ACC Cement. Last but not least, a big thank you to all who are associated with us and to all participants for patience hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Grateful to all respected distinguished participants for your valuable time. Please fill up the feedback form, which is available in the chat box as a link for the e-certificate. You will get it. Stay safe, stay healthy. Special thanks to...
I would like to thank Dr. Guna,
Dr. Gunalan, Dr. Mani, Dr. Ravi, Dr. Elias, Dr. Yasir.
Especially sir, to you to provide us this nice platform and to guide us
thank
for
you
the
very much.
success of this event. And even to
thanks.
Dr. Guna, Megan, and all ASCE presidential team.
Thank you.
Wishing everyone with the intention to keep the sharing and caring of knowledge. Thank you to all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. To you all for hosting me today. It's been an honor and privilege. And thanks for ASCE. This marks my 20th year of membership. And I'm very lucky that I participated in CRC many years ago. This led me to where I am and sharing my learnings over the past few years with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mani.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot.
Dr. Guna, you want to add something?
No, I was going to say that, we need to attract the best and the brightest to civil engineering. So hopefully this stimulates a lot of thoughts among students and, to your leadership, see what we can do to help keep the students engaged and bring them into the profession so that they have a very bright future. Looking forward to talking to a lot of them in the future as well.
Yeah, Gunnar, that's a very important point. And amongst the students who are participating today, we request you to look out for opportunities to get involved with ASCE India Section Western Region and take the opportunity to really learn from ASCE as well as to find opportunities for professional fulfillment. So please see how you can get involved with ASCE India Section Western Region.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you, Mani, for your presentation. It was very enjoyable.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really a nice presentation, and I take this opportunity to close this today's webinar. And it was really a very nice event.
We'll be in touch. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Yes, thank you.
So much.
Thank you to us.
Y'all have a great night and gonna have a great day.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Bye.
Thank you, Ilyas.
Leadership.
Good night to all.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
Night.
Dhananjay, please stop YouTube live.